Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. First up, we kept this dinner super simple. Just did a frozen pizza. I had this pepperoni Motor City Pizza Company pizza in my freezer that needed to be used up. Now, this pizza is a little bit pricey compared to other frozen pizzas, but it is delicious. It's so good. I think it was a couple years or so, Fallon from Moss Family TV, they got like all the frozen pizzas they could find in their local grocery stores and did taste tests, and this won their taste test, and I can see why. It is so good. And I've also got this little like Parmesan pizza seasoning. We got this at just a little spice store in Blue Ridge, Georgia when we were down there a couple months or so ago. And then I've got some hot honey that I'm going to add to my pizza. I just cooked the pizza according to the package instructions, added that pizza seasoning, and then some of the hot honey on my pizza. Gary didn't want any this night. And then we just did some fresh veggies. I've got ranch to dip the fresh veggies in. Gary has the Marzetti blue cheese, and that was our dinner this night. For dinner this next night, I tried a new recipe for Thai coconut chicken skewers. Of course, the recipe will be linked down in the description box below for you. There were a couple different steps to these skewers, but they're pretty easy. We're first going to start out by marinating the chicken. Here are the ingredients for the chicken marinade. And again, check the description box below for the measurements. And I believed I halved this recipe. First up, I've got some ginger paste. You could also just use a fresh ginger root and mince that up yourself. Or if you don't have either of those, you could use powdered ginger. I've got some minced garlic, and just like with the ginger, you could use a fresh garlic and mince it yourself, or use garlic powder. Soy sauce, I always use low sodium. That's just personal preference. I've got some coconut milk or cream of coconut, sugar, some dark soy sauce, and oyster sauce. Now, the dark soy sauce, I can't find it in my grocery stores around me. If you live in a larger city, you may be able to find it near you. You can also find them on Asian markets or on Amazon. Now, for the chicken, I believe the recipe called for boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and that's what I use, but you can use chicken breasts, of course. So I just combined the ingredients for the marinade in a bowl, and then cubed up my chicken thighs, added them both to a Ziploc bag, and you can marinate these for a couple hours. I did it overnight. And then we're going to remove the cubed chicken from the marinade and place them onto skewers. Now, I grilled these outside on my grill. You could bake them, you could cook them in the air fryer, on an indoor grill, however you like. Just make sure you cook the chicken until it's at least 165 degrees internal temperature. Now, while my chicken was cooking, I went ahead and whipped up the quick glaze. It's just 3 ingredients. I've got honey, and this I just picked up at a farmer's market in Franklin, Tennessee, and then some cream of coconut, little bit of soy sauce, just mixed that together. And then the last couple minutes that the chicken is on the grill, we're going to brush that glaze onto both sides of the chicken and then allow it to cook for maybe a minute or 2 on each side. The glaze just kind of gives a nice little sweetness to the skewers, but it also helps them to get really caramelized. So that is delicious. And once these skewers are cooked all the way through, I like to remove them to a plate, cover it with foil, and let them sit for about 10 minutes before I serve them. And a quick note, I forgot to mention this earlier, I used metal skewers. If you use wooden skewers, you definitely want to soak them in water for at least 30 minutes, maybe an hour before you grill them or, bake your skewers. While the chicken rested, I made the dipping sauce that the recipe suggested. Now, really, you don't have to serve this dipping sauce with the chicken, but I would highly recommend it. This sauce was delicious. It was so good. And if you don't want to make it, you could just use like a store-bought peanut sauce. That would be totally fine as well. Here are the ingredients we're going to use for the sauce. I've got sesame oil, red curry paste, soy sauce, rice vinegar. The recipe called for creamy peanut butter, I think. I grabbed the extra crunchy, whatever, it didn't really matter. Some more of that coconut milk and honey. And again, just combined everything. Check the description box below for the recipe link to get the exact measurements. And yeah, like I said, this dipping sauce was so good. For this side, I decided to do a coconut rice. I found a recipe to make coconut rice in a rice cooker, and I wanted to give that a try. Just a couple quick ingredients. I have a little bit of salt, some sugar, rice. I'm using jasmine rice. You will need some water, and then we're going to use up the rest of that coconut milk. I measured out my rice, added it to a fine mesh strainer, and ran cold water over it until the water ran clear. I added that to the liner of my rice cooker along with the other ingredients. I'm going to cover this with a lid, turn it on, and then the rice cooker will flip to warm when it is all done. Now, I have found with coconut rice, whether I do it on top of the stove, the microwave, or rice cooker, that I normally have to add a little extra water and a little extra cooking time. Maybe that's personal preference, but I've just found that in my experience. Once the rice has done in the rice cooker and it flips to warm, I unplug it and then let it sit for 10 minutes and then go in and fluff it with a fork. For the other side, I made sesame, ginger, sugar snap peas. Both the recipes for the sugar snap peas and the coconut rice will be down in the box below. In this skillet, this is on about medium-high heat. I added in some olive oil. I'm going to add minced garlic and ginger. I'm going to give that a stir and allow that to cook for about 30 seconds or a minute, just until it becomes fragrant. At that point, I'm going to add in the sugar snap peas, and I did take the little, I call them little hairs. I know that's not what it is, but you know, the little strings or whatever you call it. Took those off, missed a couple, so got that and then popped them back in the skillet. I'm going to add in the soy sauce. Give this a stir, and then you're going to cook this. Again, this is on about medium-high heat. You want to stir it every so often so the garlic and ginger don't burn. And you want to cook this maybe about 4 to 7 minutes or so until the sugar snap peas are tender. This is what they look like when they were done. All right, here are the plates. We've got some of the coconut rice, the chicken skewers. I added some crushed peanuts on top of the skewers. We've got some of that peanut dipping sauce and then the sugar snap peas. And this dinner was delicious. It was so good. I can say, though, next time I make this, I don't think I would make the coconut rice. I think I would just make regular rice. Gary loved it with the coconut rice. I mean, I thought it was good. I just would prefer it over regular rice. But yeah, we dipped the chicken in that peanut sauce and dipped the... drizzled the peanut sauce rather over our rice. And it was so yummy. Such a delicious dinner. For dinner the next night, I tried another new recipe for salmon with spinach and artichoke orzo. Again, description box below for the recipe. In this skillet, I've got a little bit of butter, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. This is on medium-high heat. I'm going to add some salmon. I removed the skin. You can leave the skin on if you want. And I seasoned both sides of the salmon with a little salt, pepper, garlic powder, and paprika. I'm going to cook the salmon for maybe about 3 minutes or so per side. Just depends on how you like your salmon and how thick your salmon is. Now, a quick note while I'm doing that, and once the salmon's done, I'm going to remove the salmon from the skillet. Quick note. If you don't want to use salmon, you totally do not have to. I think this would be really, really good with chicken. And in fact, I think I would prefer it with chicken instead. So again, if you don't like salmon or you don't want to use it, totally substitute for chicken breast on this. Just make sure you cook your chicken until it's cooked all the way through. Now, once that salmon has been removed, I'm going to add in some diced onions to the skillet, give it a stir, and cook it for about 3 to 5 minutes until those onions are tender. Once they're tender, I'm going to add in some minced garlic as well as some dried thyme, salt, and pepper. Give that another stir and cook that for about 30 seconds or so. Next, I'm going to add in some orzo. This is a pasta. I know it looks like rice, but it's a pasta. And I'm using whole wheat. You can just use regular orzo if you'd prefer. Once I've added the orzo, I'm going to cook it for about 2 minutes and then add in some chicken broth. I'm using water and some of the chicken bouillon powder. I'm going to bring that to a boil and then reduce it to a simmer and cook it for about 10 to 15 minutes or so until it is tender. And while I do that, just a quick note, I really have not talked about this because the internet is not always a friendly and nice place. But on my mom's side especially, we have a history of heart disease. And so as I'm approaching the big 4-0, I'm, just trying to, I don't want to say be healthy or, anything like that, but just kind of be more mindful. And so I've talked with my doctor for the past several years, and I have been trying to incorporate kind of aspects of the Mediterranean diet, and diet not in the form of, keto or anything like that, just diet as in what a culture or what a people eat. So I've been trying to incorporate aspects of that. So that's why over the past several months, you've seen me move more to like having fish 2 or 3 times a week, chicken, red meat less. That's why. But again, I'm not being strict about anything at all, just trying to incorporate a little more healthy options. So while I've been chatting about that, I added in some spinach once the orzo was done, gave it a stir. Once the orzo and the spinach, well, no, I'm sorry, not the orzo was wilted, the spinach was wilted. I added in some canned artichoke hearts. Those were chopped and I did drain them. I added in some fresh lemon juice, grated Parmesan cheese. The recipe called for heavy cream. I had the plant-based cream on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. I gave that a stir and then allowed everything to cook for about 3 minutes and then give it a taste. Adjust the seasonings to your taste. I'm going to add in some chopped parsley, give it another stir, and then add my salmon back to the orzo. I covered it with a lid and I turned the heat off, but I let it sit for about 5 minutes so that the salmon could get nice and warm. Now to go on this side, I just did some quick asparagus, decided to do it in the air fryer. I've got the asparagus. This has already been washed and trimmed. I added it to my air fryer basket. I'm going to add olive oil. And then for the seasoning, I decided to add this Kinder's buttery garlic and herb seasoning along with a little bit of salt and pepper. I gave this a toss with some tongs and then placed this into the air fryer. I cooked it at 400 degrees for maybe about 6 to 7 minutes or so until it was tender and started to get golden brown. And this is what it looked like. Here are the plates. So I laid down some of the orzo and added the salmon, and we've got the asparagus, and this was delicious. But like I said, I would prefer this with chicken next time. And real quick, back to what I was talking about like the Mediterranean cuisine diet thing, whatever you want to call it. The reason I brought that up is because I have gotten a few comments over the past few months that I've started doing this, that, I don't like fish, or, fish isn't in my budget, or, this isn't budget friendly. And one, I'll say, keep in mind, everybody's budget is different. And what's budget friendly to me may not be at all budget friendly to someone else. And what might be outside of my budget may be pennies to somebody else. So keep that in mind. But 2, if you've been with me for a while, you know that especially with my proteins and stuff, I tend to buy things when they're on sale and then I'll put them in my freezer. And 3, if you've been with me for a while, I say all the time, you're in your kitchen. Just because I do something a certain way or I'm using something doesn't mean that you have to. So if I'm using a fish or a protein that you don't like, you can just skip that recipe and not make it, or use chicken or pork or, tofu or whatever protein you do like. So, like I said, this was a yummy dinner. And again, check the recipe box below if you want to see how to make it. Dinner the next night was totally off meal plan, but I had been scrolling through Instagram and saw somebody make a club sandwich, and that just sounded delicious to me. And when I realized I had everything on hand to make them, I was like, yes. So that's what I made. I didn't really follow a recipe. I tried to mimic like McAllister's club. So let me show you how I made it, but I'm going to start out though with this side. So I had some red potatoes that really needed to be used up, so I decided to do a loaded baked potato salad. Again, didn't really follow a recipe. To this bowl, I'm going to add in some green onions, and then I had some bacon that I had cooked earlier in the week and had left over, so I'm going to chop that up. You could use bacon pieces if you prefer. I'm going to add in some shredded cheddar cheese. Next, I had some semi-homemade ranch dressing in my fridge that needed to be used up, so I decided to add that. And I will do my best to remember to type out how I make this in my description box below. I basically just use the Hidden Valley Ranch recipe on the back of the packets with a couple little changes that you all have suggested to me. Now, I saw on, I think it's Mr. Make It Happen, his Instagram, he made a loaded baked potato salad a while ago, and he seasoned it with a little chicken bouillon powder and dry ranch dressing mix, so I decided to add a little bit of that. And as you can see, I didn't add much of the bouillon powder at all, like maybe a teaspoon. I added a little bit of mayo, a little sour cream, some black pepper. It gave it a really, really good mix, and I like to taste it at that point and kind of adjust the seasonings from there. Now, like I said, I had some red potatoes that I need to use up, so I just cubed them up, placed them in some salted boiling water, cooked them until they were tender, drained them, and allowed them to cool slightly, and then mixed the potatoes in. I popped that into the fridge while I made the sandwiches. All right, here I've got my bread. I popped it into the toaster, and that middle piece up at the top, I just forgot and accidentally left it in the toaster a little bit longer. Now, this is just how I like my club sandwiches. Again, you're in your kitchen. If I use something you don't like or you don't have on hand, swap it around. First up, I'm going to add some honey mustard, some Swiss cheese. And again, if you don't have Swiss or you don't want to use it, use whatever cheese you like or what you've got on hand or what's on sale. Next, I'm going to add some honey ham, and you can do this with any deli meat. Roast beef would be good, like the chicken deli roasted meat would be good. I think Fallon, I mentioned Moss Family TV earlier, I think they use like country ham sometimes. Next, I'm going to add some lettuce along with sliced tomatoes, and I like to season the tomatoes with a little bit of salt and pepper. Now, for the other slice of bread, I'm going to add some mayonnaise. Club sandwiches usually have 3 pieces of bread. When I make them myself at home, I never use the third piece. For me personally, I just feel like it's too much bread. For Gary, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, just depending on how hungry he is. So for him, for the third slice, I flipped the mayonnaise side over and then added bacon. This is bacon that I just cooked up earlier in the day. And I add bacon to my sandwich as well. To the mayonnaise side of the bread, I'm going to add a slice of cheddar cheese along with some turkey and then place that on top of the other side of the sandwich. Now, I like to take skewers, little skewers or toothpicks. You can also use like cocktail picks and place them into this sandwich. A lot of restaurants do this, but they do it for a purpose because it keeps the sandwich together. You've got so much going on. So once I've added those, I'm going to slice these diagonally, and here is my sandwich. And then as you can see, here is the inside of Gary's sandwich, and this is a hefty sandwich. Now, I like to serve some more honey mustard on the side for myself to dip my sandwich in. It's so good. And then I served the sandwiches along with that loaded baked potato salad we made earlier, and that was dinner this night, and it totally hit the spot. It was exactly what I was craving. For dinner this night, both Gary and I were heading out of town, and so we were busy packing and, cleaning the house, getting everything ready. He just ran and grabbed us takeout from a local Greek restaurant. We got their gyro mix plates with gyro and chicken, rice, salad, and pita, and we got lots of ranch because we love their ranch. It is so good, and that was our dinner that night. For the last dinner in this week's video, it was another dinner out. I'd mentioned in my grocery haul that Gary was heading out of town for work for a few days, and so my mom and I went to a family reunion. We took Happy and Pepper and my little brother with us. But this night for dinner, just my mom and I went. My little brother wanted to stay back at the rental, and we tried a new restaurant, new to us, a restaurant called Ollie's Place in a very small town called Salina, Tennessee. And so I got their fried catfish, and it came with fries and hush puppies. And then my mom got their fried chicken with stewed potatoes, green beans, and then not pictured, it's kind of off to the side, she had pinto beans and cornbread, and her pinto beans were delicious. They were so good. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.